Here we are again, back on board, and Happy New Year to the listeners and non-listeners alike, and people who are definitely not being entertained on these test transmissions on 160 metres, 2 metres, streaming online as well, and that can be found via my QRZ page. This is VK3SL. And we start the year with, we've got a bit of a formula, I suppose, we've established over the last little while. So we'll continue with that, and we'll slowly. I've got a few ideas this year about how we might, how I might exploit the shelves here a little bit more. Anyhow, more about that later on. And anyhow, it's good to be back on board. I've been away and I've been out and about for, better part of 3 weeks, I suppose, since I've been on. And it's funny coming back into this room again after a very long break and seeing that there's even a ivy starting to grow into the room. It's found a crack in the wall, and there's this long wire. It wasn't a microphone cable, it wasn't a patch lead, it was actually a plant wire which has wound itself around something. So yes, we're gradually being taken over by nature. Yeah. Right, so what's first? Oh yeah, there's a great, some wonderful offerings from Prozoot, and I think we'll use one of his to get the ball rolling today. And it's a recording with Bubba Marley and with Duke Ellington's orchestra back in 1927. Of course, Bubba Marley was very much the founder of that jungle sound, that wonderful growly speech-like inflection. And Joe Nanton also on the trombone pioneered the same technique, but it makes the music have a fantastic raw energy. So we'll have a listen. Duke Ellington and his orchestra, 1927, with Blue Bubbles. Okay, the raw energy of good old Duke Ellington and his orchestra, and we heard the driving rhythm of Sonny Greer and Fred Guy there. The string bass driving things, and great drumming as well. And, of course, solos with Tricky Sam Nanton, Johnny Hodges and Harry Carney, and, of course, Bubba Marley with his inimitable growl trumpet back in 1927, and Duke Ellington. Okay, acknowledging Mr. L, who just sent an email. So, hi, Chris. We'll catch up with you. Yes, I'll try and make some time. I'd like to oblige that invitation. So we'll see how that goes. I'll get in touch. But just got back today. It's all a bit frantic, but, it's the way it works. It's all done on the not only the smell of an oily rag, but we have to be spontaneous with these missions. Otherwise, they are terminally boring. All right, we move on. And, more Prozoot, I think. Yes, I got a couple of records on the turntable, which I will try in a minute, but my initial tests a few minutes ago sounded like there was a fair bit of RF, stray RF, so we'll see if that remains a problem. But in the meantime, we'll have a listen to Anson Weeks, I should say, and his orchestra back in 1931 with Crazy Rhythm, again, care of Mr. Prozoot. This is VK3SL. Okay, that was Anson Weeks and his orchestra. Oh, and they're keeping on going. Fellas, you can back off, please. Thank you. Yes, there's actually a really good recording of I've Got Rhythm there as well, but we'll save that for another time. And I'll fade them out, and we'll have a selection direct off the turntable. We'll see if this works. This is one of those funny Bon Marsh records. I think it's probably a pseudonym, or maybe not be, but it says John Porter and his Harmony Troupe. Pretty hot band, and not so certain about the provenance of this, but we'll give it a whirl and see if the turntables are still working after a break of nearly a month. So what do? I activate this fader here, and okay, whoa, I can hear the RF coming in there. Look, I'll just back off a little bit, and we'll see how we go. I'll let the ident tell you who I am. Come on. Thank you. This is VK3SL, testing on 160 metres, 2 metres, and the Broadwave streaming service.
Rock me in a cradle of dreams. I want to see those dear to me. The only time I'm happy is free. Let my little train of thoughts go traveling back once more to a place I'm always, always longing for. Take in the sun, hang out the moon, and rock me in a cradle of dreams.
Okay, I hope that worked all right. Yeah, I have to be a bit judicious with the faders. With the if I'm too advanced with the fader, we get a fair bit of RF in the system. It seems to be the way of things here. Maybe the antenna needs a retune. I didn't do that. Anyhow, we heard, we heard John Porter and his Harmony Troupe, which I think is Al Lenz and his orchestra. I'll need to find out more about them. They're on one of those Purple Bon Marche records from the late 20s, probably 27, 28, judging by the style of that disc, but pretty hot and pretty tight performance, so it warrants a bit of further investigation, I think. There's a few of them here, so I think, yes, Brian Rust says Al Lenz and his orchestra, so we'll leave it at that for the moment. On the other turntable, I have Henry Archer and his orchestra on one of those wonderfully euphorically distorted light beam records. The sound is, of course, has this wonderful intermod effect of making a small ensemble sound like a very large ensemble, and of course the presence and the immediacy and the punch is all there. So we have this mega distorted sound, but in some funny way it sort of adds to the music, particularly with the small ensembles. It sounds absolutely dreadful with an orchestra. But yeah, we'll have a listen to Sunny, and this is with Henry Archer. This is VK3SL test transmission. Okay, that was Harry Archer and his orchestra on a mid-20s Brunswick, one of those records where you cannot read the label. You have to hold it up to the light on the angle to see what it says because the gold leaf has worn off. But yes, that euphoric light beam recording, I was reading about them here. What do they say? It says their light ray recording process was a variation of the Palaphotophone. That's the recorder of dancing light, and that was developed by Dr. Charles Hoxie of the GE Labs. And it says the device was a photoacoustic audio recorder whose medium was 35mm film and a precursor to RCA's Photophone. It used a recording horn, not a microphone. Instead of being attached to a cutting stylus, the diaphragm at the narrow end was connected to a mirror, and the mirror reflected light from a bulb of constant brightness. And when the mirror undulated, a variable area of oscilloscopic image was exposed on the film. Once developed, the film was played back, positioned between a constant source of light and a photocell, and the photocell drove an electronic amplifier. So that's how it's described here. Whether or not that's exactly the process used by Brunswick, I don't know, but it certainly it shares similarities to those wonderful Warner Brothers films of the early 30s, which also had that very highly compressed and distorted sound. And I think of 42nd Street and Dames and the like. But in that process, in its infancy, was adopted by Brunswick for commercial reasons. Yes, they wanted to uphold their own process and not compete with Western Electric, I suppose. Now, let's see what's next on the list. I'm looking at the PC now, and what do we have? Oh, yes, we have to have a Bix offering. There's been more great Bix transfers from ProZoot, and I think we'll hear now Crying All Day. This is with Frankie Trambau's orchestra. It has a Bix solo to die for. It is so wonderful. I've listened to this a few times in recent weeks, and in the car and whatnot, and it is just a amazing solo. So you have to indulge, I'm afraid. Now, what am I doing? I'm talking multitask. What happens? I lose the ability to multitask. And I think I got the right fader up. We've got Mr. ProZoot up on the screen, and Bix looking at me, looking into the ether. Poor old Bix on the screen. And yes, I think it's Crying All Day is the track. And listen for the Bix solo. He does everything is just wonderful. The way he plays around with the rhythm, and it's harmonically adventurous. It's full of spatial effects. It's great use of extended harmonies. Yeah, all right. Enough waffling from me. VK3SL testing, of course. Now, how is that playing around the lead? Fantastic playing by Mr. B. Feature a lot of Mr. B on these test transmissions because his bell-like tone is very good for testing transmitters, and musically there's something good happening as well. Very good. All right, so what we'll do now is just usher ourselves into a different zone. Here we go. See, this is preemptive. From next week, we are moving into a partly Japanese household. Yes, we're having a Japanese exchange student coming to stay with us. And so I thought, well, she hasn't arrived yet, but we're making big plans. It's going to be a busy week because we have to reconfigure everything. In fact, we have to move out everything out of one of the rooms. We have to make an extra bedroom in the house. And it means I actually lose one of my studios, which is a bit of a shame. But never mind, we're going to reinstate one under the house, and that's one for the kids to use. And yes, and we might even be putting a ladder through the floor. So there could be a few big changes. And this is anticipating, yes, a new member of the household. So quite exciting, really. And so, in preparation, well, not that anybody associated with that will be listening to this, but for my own, a topic close to my to my mind at the moment, I will riff on this a little bit. We'll just fade out the vapors now. We've had enough of turning Japanese. And we'll listen to a rare Japanese recording made in 1925. In fact, it says here it's the first jazz recording. I wonder, I found this online. It's on a Japanese Columbia Nitto Records. And it says here the Nitto Jazz Band, and the name of the song is Walla Walla. Now, it's a little bit of a catchy tune, very primitively recorded. And recorded 1925, I think it's acoustic, but if it's electric, it's pretty bad. So I ask for your indulgence with this, but it is something quirky and representative of a bit of a Japanese theme, which will develop in the next 10 minutes. VK3SL. Okay, what do you think of that? That was Walla Walla, the Nitto Jazz Band, and on a A recording made in Osaka in 1925. No other information. There is a fair bit of Japanese on the label, and I showed that to our Japanese correspondent resident here, and I had it all authenticated that it actually does fit the bill with the English translation. And but look, no other information other than it was recorded in Osaka. And Osaka back in 1925 would have been pretty much like a third world country. But it's that's jazz. They go to town. They're wearing their hearts on their sleeves, and they're playing to their heart's content. And there's a fantastic energy in that playing. So yes, they're emulating the jazz styles of the West very effectively. And I wonder what the course of influence was. It's pretty fascinating stuff. So something more reflective now. I've got a couple. I've got one on the turntable. What shall I play first? I'll play this one on the turntable. So what do? I move that into position. And this is Lee Lash and the Orchestra of 1937, and it's a recording called Sayonara, which we all know what that means. And look, have a listen. It's interesting. It's sort of here's our representative piece in a minor key. It's got that sort of low down, rather, I don't know, slightly reflective, slightly introspective ambience. Anyhow, I'll let you decide what you think about it, and I will hopscotch over to the turntable VK. I'll let this speak for itself. VK3SL testing with Lee Lash and his orchestra. Very chilled out recording of Lee Lash and his orchestra, recorded I think in Tokyo in 1937. Don't know much about that. It's on a Japanese Victor I got for my 10th birthday. Yes, it came with a wind-up gramophone, a HMV Model 101, which I got for my 10th birthday, and I had a few records with it, including that disc. So I think I've played the other side in a previous missions, but anyhow. Lee Lash, and it's pretty. I like that sort of. I would love to have seen it recorded. I would have. I can imagine the that setting in Japan at that time would have had a real taint of exoticism about it. Anyhow, in similar vein, we're going to hear Cosmos Elegy. Now, this is also quite sort of reflective, minor key, slightly sad, and it's quite interesting. And what does it say about this here? Again, it's all in Japanese, so I have to have it all verified. But it's got that sort of mysterious feeling about it, I suppose. So we don't know about the artist. I don't think it even tells us who's playing on this. No other information. So have a listen, and we'll hear Cosmos Elegy. Same period. Okay, that was Cosmos Elegy, and very alluring performance. Fascinating. I don't know anything about the artist at all, but she had something quite mysterious and captivating about her inflection, and it had that sort of folksy feel that takes you somewhere else. I'm going to have a listen to a bit of it again. Sorry about that, folks. I like this piece, and it takes me somewhere. See, and interesting use of the pentatonic scale. Okay. That was Cosmic Elegy. I suppose Elegy is traditionally a piece about grief. Love to know what she's singing about. I played some of it to Henry, or our Japanese correspondent, earlier, and he did have a good listen to it, and he was able to make out a few words, but I might need extra verification from our guest to be. She'll be arriving in the next few days, so we'll... next week, actually. So we'll find out. That'll be one of the things. I'll get her to comment on that recording, Cosmos Elegy. Okay, all right. So let's see. Bring the microphone over, and had a bit of one evening a few weeks ago when I were on the farm. I was listening to recordings of that great Bob Dylan song, Times They Are A-Changin'. I sort of I like riffing on a song sometimes, listening to lots of different versions, heaps of them out there, and all from the 60s. In fact, shortly after he wrote the song, about 10 different people recorded it. But the recording I like best by far is the one that the Australian group, the Seekers, made, and so I thought I'd put that on. And great words and interesting sort of 60s anthem, I suppose you could say. So let's have a listen to The Times They Are A-Changin', and there we hear the Seekers, and this is VK3SL.
What's that?
That? Oh, I can tell you all about that.
There's a little bit of a preamble to this, and I'm going to just move it forward a bit, because it's a part of a film. So here we go.
Come gather round, people, wherever you roam, and admit that the waters around you have grown, and accept it that soon you'll be drenched to the bone. If your time to you is worth saving, then you better start swimming or you'll sink like a stone, for the times they are a-changing. Come writers and critics who prophesy with your pen, and keep your eyes wide, the chance won't come again. And don't speak too soon, for the wheel's still in spin, and there's no telling who that it's naming, for the loser now will be later to win, for the times they are a-changing.
Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway, don't block up the hall, for he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled.
There's a battle outside and it's raging. It'll soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are a-changing.
Come mothers and fathers throughout the land, and don't criticize what you can't understand. Your sons and your daughters are beyond your command.
Your old road is rapidly aging. Please get out of the new one if you can lend your hand, for the times they are a-changing.
The line it is drawn, the curse it is cast. The slow one now will later be fast, as the present now will later be past. The order is rapidly fading, and the first one now will later be last, for the times they are a-changing.
That's the quintessential protest song from the 60s with the Seekers. Yay, and there's another really good version of it with Peter, Paul and Mary as well. And Simon Garfunkel did it. Look, there's so many. The Bob Dylan version, of course, is the original. But yeah, I particularly like that one. They sing so well in tune, and I think the secret is Judith Durham. Her voice is right in the centre of the harmony there. She's not actually singing the lead in that recording, but being in the middle and singing, she's got such a true sense of pitch that it reins the others in, and they have this cohesion, this amazing cohesion. I love the Seekers. Okay, another thing. This week, Jimmy Hannon passed away. So I heard that news, and not that I've ever been a great advocate for commercial radio, but as a nostalgia exercise, I find the tradition interesting. And he was a luminary, of course, and he had one big hit with the Bee Gees, that's right, in 1963. So I thought I'd give that a bit of a bash since that he passed away a few days ago. So let's hear Jimmy Hannon with Beach Ball, and I'm VK3SL, testing, of course.
Come on, boys. Let's go down and do some sand dancing. Hey! A one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. Summer's here, it's time to have a party. We're going to the beach, we're gonna have a beach ball. Got a car full of hot dogs and a trunk full of soda. We're gonna keep it swinging until next fall. Oh, we're having a beach ball. Everybody's feeling fine. Oh, we're gonna have a beach party. Can you find a better way to spend the summertime? Clap your hands, keep a dancing to the beach band, splashing in the water, dancing in the sand. Take your baby and make it to the party. Everybody's doing it all over this land. Oh, we're having a beach ball. Everybody's feeling fine. Oh, we're gonna have a beach party. Can you find a better way to spend the summertime? Clap your hands, keep a dancing to the beach band, splashing in the water, dancing in the sand. Take your baby and make it to the party. Everybody's doing it all over this land. Oh, we're having a beach ball. Everybody's feeling fine. Oh, we're gonna have a beach party. Can you find a better way to spend the summertime? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, we're gonna go. Oh, this is it. Come on now. Kick some sand. Good. And again now. Oh, we're having a beach ball. Everybody's feeling fine. Oh, we're gonna have a beach party. Can you find a better way to spend the summertime? Come on. Oh, we're having a beach ball. Everybody's feeling fine. Oh, we're gonna have a beach party. Can you find a better way to spend the summertime? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, limbo now. Limbo now. Kick some sand. Stop it, baby. Do it. Do it, 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 do it.
And he did it, yes. Jimmy Hannon, Beach Ball from 1963. And, acknowledging the his presence in our media sphere, Mr. Hannon. And look, I actually have something else lined up of his. I think we'll make it our OTR segment. And found a tape of 3UZ in 1973. And it features Mr. H and somebody else, I can't think who. Anyhow, I'll have a listen to this. I've edited out the, I did a quick dub and edited out the songs. So we'll just get a bit of a window into 3UZ as it was in 1963. So sit back, goes for about 15 minutes, and we'll hear some radio nostalgia, 70s style. This is VK3SL, testing, of course.
It's 10 o'clock. This is Neil Watson for 3UZ BBN Network News.
It would help if I actually put this back to the start of the track. So what we'll do, we'll spool back, super fast spooling here, and we will try that again. Take 2.
It's 9:30. This is John Sheed for 3UZ BBN Network News. It's been recommended that municipal council and shires should be formed into regional groupings so they can approach the federal government for financial assistance. The recommendation comes in a report from the Department of Urban and Regional Development and urges that there should be 68 groupings of local government bodies throughout Australia, including 18 in Victoria. 9 of the groupings would be in the Melbourne metropolitan area. It seems the federal government has been slowly backing down from its strong stand on aid for private schools, with the number to lose all aid cut by half. Education Minister Beasley says that only 50 schools will completely lose the grants, compared with the original list of 105. 137 private schools have won appeals against their classification. It's 9:32.5. Melbourne will be very warm with increasing cloud and some rain later with possible thunderstorms. On the bays, mainly east to northeast winds averaging 5 to 10 knots with smooth to slight seas. The expected maximum today, 29. Currently, it's 24. This is John Sheed for 3UZ VBN Network News.
Hello again, all you lovely ladies. Now, once again, I'm going to talk to you about the tone of fresh fruit in a can. It's absolutely freaky fruit. Dessert things and pies and all that wonderful sort of eating stuff, they can all be made with amazing tone of fresh fruit in a can. Especially the peaches. Oh, I love them. Peach flan. Oh, go mad. Get up in the morning, I look out the window and I'll say, I'm going to have my breakfast. And I think, the toner, fresh peaches in a can. That's what I'm going to have.
Oh, all right. Safeway Discount bring the prices down again. This time it's vegetables. Safeway buyers stormed the markets and bought field fresh Victorian cauliflowers picked at their prime for 20 cents. You heard right. 20 cents for choice cauliflowers at all Safeway Discount supermarkets now. And a money-back guarantee, if you don't mind.
Safeway.
Hello, this is Jimmy Hannon. John Bruce Discounts have beautiful furniture at beautiful discount prices. Furnish your home now on terms at the lowest discount price. Your payments are free if you're sick, injured or unemployed. So let John Bruce do the worrying. John Bruce Discounts, 216 High Street, St Kilda.
We're going John Brucey.
Hey, the big rage and the in thing, I believe, Jack, is those marble top tables. I've got 3 of those.
From John Bruce's?
Yes.
Well, I don't like them.
Why?
It's like boozing in a graveyard. Have you ever had 4 of them in the house? Or it's still a graveyard?
Oh, boozing on a graveyard. Get out.
John Newman.
Wendy and Karen. They come from Warrion by a Colac. Then they'd like a request from Mum and Dad, who are very much in love. Oh, what do you know about love? Don't knock it.
Who doesn't know about love?
You don't know
I know
anything
about more love than you do.
What do you
I drove a London taxi for 5 years, son.
That's nothing.
Round the block
love.
twice for $20.
Yeah.
And here's an extra $1 if you don't look in the mirror and all that. I know.
That's not love, that's procuring.
Wasn't me, Mr. Murray.
The 2 of us, there'll always be for you and me the worst. And we'll be always
For Mum and Dad at Warrion by a Colac. Good on you, Mum and Dad.
Ladies and gentlemen, don't do that, Jimmy. It tortures.
Oh, yeah.
It pounds into my brain. It's
What's
like
the
being in
time?
Russia. Well, I know. Do you know?
No.
I'll tell you. We won't keep it a secret. We won't hold it among ourselves. It's 22 minutes to 10 o'clock, ladies and gentlemen.
Nice. I do like the floor plan, but I'd really like an ensuite.
That's fine, honey, but this package home doesn't have one.
And I still say the house would look nicer with a Spanish-style front.
But, sweet, this package home doesn't have a Spanish-style front. Oh, all right, look.
Evidently, they're not talking about a Stockhold home. Remember that name. Only Stockhold homes give you over 6,750 choices. Because now, Stockhold have the largest range of package home designs and variations in Melbourne. See our advertisement in Saturday's Sun Property Guide for display location details. Stockhold Homes for prestige planned house and land. A division of Stocks and Holdings Limited.
The matchless food bargains at SSW supermarkets are not one-day wonders. This week's advertising saving is $1.99 against the discount store prices. Shop today, tomorrow, even early next week. You'll still reap unbeatable savings at SSW supermarkets. Still the cheapest, day in, day out.
When you've just sunk a 12-foot putt at the 18th and the 19th hole is only a chip away, think about a Vickers. Vickers Gin. Try it mixed long, cool and thirst-quenching, or brief and bracing. Sets you up after a hard-played game. Vickers Gin. Crystal clear, clean and invigorating. Remember, the label's blue, but the effect is devastating.
Oh, Oh, look, we've got a request here for Deborah Brunston of Kyneton. Oh, Brunston of Kyneton. Oh, well, hello.
How old is she?
That's Norma and Ron. Yes, indeed. What is it? Norma's birthday on Saturday. Hello, Norma. How are she's marvellous. Norma and Ron, they're my good friends at Kyneton. Where they ran the Daffodil Queen contest, and I was up there and I made the Daffodil Queen won.
Boy or girl?
I can't remember now. It's like 2 months
Did
ago.
you have a good time?
But I had a wonderful time. You're only young once, and I had a terrific time.
They say you're only young once, and everybody nods their head wisely and say, yeah. So how many times you're middle-aged? You're only middle-aged once, aren't you?
Yeah,
you're only old once, aren't you?
They
What are
nod
you
their head
talking about?
and say goodbye. Put him in, dig another grave. They do. No, hello. Dad's birthday on Tuesday, is it? Well, I wish you, Ron Brunson, a very, very happy birthday. Norma, lots of love to you from the family there, and your family in particular, my family. Wish you a very, very happy day to you and to Ron. And Wally Harvey and his wife, Lily. Lily Harvey is having a birthday today. They're from Warburton. So happy birthday to you, Lily.
You've got
and
some
happy
great
birthday,
friends,
Norma
Jim.
and Ron.
You've got some lovely friends.
They are.
And really, we're quite intelligent. You mustn't judge us by these jokes and the music that Bill Gates makes us play, must they?
No, don't judge us by anything that happens on this show. And Jackie's different altogether, too.
I am.
Norma. And I Love You So. Gorgeous song for you. It's a wonder Deborah didn't pick Johnny Farnham to sing for you. She's got every picture of Johnny Farnham ever printed, I think. And I love you so. Well, she picked a beautiful song for you, Norma. To you and Ron, happy day. And it's very, very nice. And Lily Harvey, too, from Warrandyte. Happy birthday, my loves.
What this party needs is some real dancing music.
And here it is. A Myer exclusive. Only $3.98 for Happy Jack and the Barroom Boys with 50 minutes of non-stop party music. 22 of the good old good ones and the good new good ones. Foot tappers like Tie Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree. Repaz Band. Yes, sir, that's my baby. Marina. Tell me. And more. Foxtrots, quick steps, cha-cha-chas, Charleston, even a gypsy tap. Real music for real dancing. 50 non-stop minutes of swing-along, sing-along party music. Only $3.98 for the Happy Jack record. Exclusive to Myer city and suburban stores. Phone your nearest Myer store for immediate delivery.
He got the deal. Most new car dealers offer a similar deal to Brian's on the new Fords. No, they don't. I've got all that mixed up. Most new car dealers offer a similar deal on new Fords, but not Brian Wood Ford of Ferntree Gully. Good. It's just that I can't get used to not having Jackie ruining the ad. The difference is Brian Wood's owner protection plan. At Brian Wood Ford, they go a little further to ensure every new Ford owner is fully satisfied. You check him out. Brian Wood Ford of Ferntree Gully. He got the deals. Brian Wood Ford of Burwood Highway, Ferntree Gully. Here's a request coming right up now. Oh, listen to that. Mrs. Tobin of East Coburg. This is a call to Kath Tobin because she's 21 again.
She's an undertaker.
No, she isn't. Kath, wrong Tobin. The Ranger's Walls for Kath Tobin, 21 again, from husband Dennis and mum-in-law and all the relations and Kitty, and they're all getting together on Tuesday for a spot of tea, eh? Oh, it'll be more than tea, I feel, for Kath.
Mum, I've cut myself, Mummy.
Oh, dear, not again. Come on, let's see. We'll soon get that cleaned up. This'll do the trick.
What's that you're putting on it, Mum? Will it sting?
No, dear, it won't sting. And it's called Savlon.
Why do we use Savlon?
Oh, Savlon, dear. Because it helps kill all those nasty germs fast.
Savlon Antiseptic Liquid helps kill germs fast. Savlon Antiseptic Liquid at your chemist.
Have you tried Lunar Living? Guests Home Furnishing World, renowned for quality furniture at realistic prices, have the Lunar Living Baron Suite exclusively. Baron is a magnificent three-piece lounge group with a genuine teak frame upholstered in luxurious striped boucle and priced at only $499. Why not call into any of Guest's 13 city, suburban or Geelong stores and try the exclusive Lunar Living. It's out of this world.
And it's available on immediate delivery.
When a girl sees a bargain and she knows that it's a bargain, she's a Portman's girl.
And here's what the Portman's girls are saying.
They've got absolutely everything, you know.
If you want your fashion dollar to go just a little farther, be a Portman's girl.
Oh, well, we've gone to plenty of places, and I think they've got some beautiful things, and they're in a reasonable price. I think they're just fantastic.
Be a Portman's girl.
Portman's, city stores and all major shopping centres.
Jimmy Hannon on the greater 3UZ 930.
Well, Marjorie Martirano would like her request for a daughter, Wendy Fraser, and please play her a record. She's in the Children's Hospital for a checkup today at 10 a.m. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Wendy. Hope we've caught you in time. I'll send that letter to Des, by the way. These are all for Desi. Margie Rose of Flemington would like a request for cheerio to her husband Don, son Michael, daughters Debbie and Kelly. Also from Carrum, gee, a lot of requests. Glenda Redwood would like a request, and we'll say thank you, Glenda, for your lovely letter. We're sending them on to Des. Ruth Byron of East Melbourne would like a request too, and a lucky charm and a record from Des. There we are. Say hi to us all. Hello, Ruth Byron down there at East Melbourne. Doncaster Leanne Knight would like a request, and she said, I really enjoyed the Des O'Connor show. Could I hear a record of his? You certainly can, Leanne. And Eileen Greenway would like a request too, and a good luck charm, and she's just back from a month at Palm Beach, Gold Coast. Good luck to you, my love. Here's your favourite boy, Des O'Connor, and as soon as we get all the dies done and the medals printed, we'll send you out your lucky charms. Thanks very much for the letters. I'll send them to Des.
Jealous heart, you jealous heart.
That's a very popular song of Des's called Jealous Heart. I heard them all yelling for that one during one of the performances that I saw. And Jack, don't forget to send those letters to Des and take their names and addresses, because you're sending them out lucky charms, aren't you? There we are, and it'll change your luck.
I want to get one of those lucky charms as well for myself.
What? What's your birthday then? Go on.
Since I came here, a grindstone since I worked here.
Oh, you never had it so good. You've never had it so good.
Thank you, Mr. Church.
The man from Mewers. So, the old telly set's not what it used to be, eh? Picture weak, sound not so hot. Then girls, trade your oldie in on a fantastic new Philips TV from Mewers. Philips really know how to build a TV. All sizes just right for family viewing. And now here's the great news. Mewers are discounting Philips TVs to just $165 or easy terms if you like. Mewers, Glenroy, Preston, Coburg, Niddry and Footscray. Mewers, the mightiest in the north.
Mortein is fast, powerful, deadly. Mortein kills flies dead. Fight back against the flies, blowflies and mosquitoes. Mortein's concentrated formulation is completely safe near children and food, but lethal on flies. Make sure you protect your children with Mortein or Mortein mentholated. Don't be soft on flies.
Oh, Mrs. Sparkle.
Yes, Mr. Sheen.
It's so simple for your furniture to gleam. I just give a little spray, you wipe over right away.
It's the quickest waxing trick I've ever seen. Oh, Mr. Sheen. Oh, Mr. Sheen. Everything around my house is sparkling clean.
All your furniture looks fine with a lustrous mirror shine.
I wax and polish as I dust with Mr. Sheen.
For an instant mirror sheen to the furniture you clean, wax and polish as you dust with Mr. Sheen.
Well, Nadine of Thornton would like a request for a mother, Nola Creed and Mrs. Jean Smith, her friend. Their birthdays are on Sunday. Happy birthday, Nola and Jean. And hi to Pat Gilmore. Her birthday's on the 27th. Good day, Pat. How are you? Love from Nadine. Yvonne Ellis of Heathcote would like a request for Mrs. Matten. That's her mum too. Happy birthday to you, Mrs. Matten. Lots of love from Yvonne and the family. Jill Whittingslow would like a request. She's from Northcote. For her mother, Mabel Whittingslow. Mabel Whittingslow of Broadford. Happy birthday, Mabel. From Jill and Bobby, Bradley and Peter, Bev, Graham, Tracy, Craig and Paul. And Heather DePito would like a request for her mum, Giuseppa DePito. From her husband, Giuseppe, Lou and Benny, Dorothy and and Gloria and Via, Carol, Heather, Albert, Lou and Elio, and the grandchildren Tommy, Anna, Maria, Enrico, Diana, Joey, John, Paul, Matthew, Joseph, Justin, Adrian and Andrew. She'll live forever. Giuseppe DePito, isn't
Tell
that
them
lovely?
they're lucky stones and what number they're going to be and all that.
I've done all that.
Oh, you know?
Yeah, I've done all that.
The Jimmy Hannon Mystic Show.
Yes, I've done that.
Double, toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. You know, all the things you tell them about the stars. Eye of newt and toe of frog. Wool of bat and tongue of dog.
Oh, how now, you secret black and midnight hags?
Open locks, whoever knocks, locks. You see, this is a ridiculous show.
Yes, you should have come
out. You know, all
of
these
oil
mad
and
things.
trouble and
This number's a lot of rubbish, you know.
Go away, evil one. That's Jamie Redfern and the song about all the mamas.
And here is a special report from John Ford, who is lying in bed ill at the moment. He's been run over and both his legs are broken.
Oh, damn.
And he has just rang up to say there is no truth in the rumour that Jamie Redfern is going to marry Evie Hayes.
I read where a young girl of 18 is going to marry a man of 95.
Get away.
Yeah.
Well, personally, you can't blame the man. I mean, after all, perfume smells better than liniment, doesn't it?
It's 10 o'clock. This is Neil Watson for 3UZ BBN Network News. The United Nations
Okay, we'll fade out there. We just heard... We heard the happy chappy, Mr. Jimmy Hannon, and of course Jackie Clancy was with him. And that was recorded off 3UZ in 1973, I think. Yeah, so slick radio from the 70s, and acknowledging the career of Jimmy Hannon. I think he retired at 50. I think it was a very sensible thing to do. Probably made enough money to not to have to worry too much, and he went and lived on a farm in northern New South Wales, I think that's the story. So he knew when to get out when he was on top of his game. And yeah, that was it's a great pace to it, that radio. The rhythm is amazing. Right, so radio rhythm. We'll move on to, this next one is something of a mystery. I'm not going to tell you who's performing, and I want, this is something, and I'll only give the game away at the very end of this test transmission. So you're not allowed to be entertained, but you are able to ponder who this artist might be. And at the very end, I will give the game away. So have a listen to a superlative artist, a great player who, well, no, I'm not going to say anything else. I'm going to let the music speak for itself, and we'll see if you can come to the right conclusion. VK3SL testing. Okay. Whoa, there we go. There was a mystery performer, and that's in place of the pianola because I haven't been organised enough to get a pianola roll ready for tonight. So yeah, mystery performer. We'll give the answer at the very end, and you can ponder who it might be. I'll give you a clue. It was recorded at Channel 9 in I won't say the year. It was recorded at Channel 9 in the 60s. There we go. I'll say in the 60s at Channel 9. Special appearance. And shall I give another clue? No, I won't. Not for the moment. I'll give another clue a bit later, maybe. I'll mention that. All right, so what's next? Okay, yeah, I'm going to try and do something a bit interesting here. On my travels, I'm always looking for... I'm sort of trying not to look for records, but sometimes they sort of jump out at you. And, there's an instance of this with some Westminster recordings. Some recordings on the Westminster label and the LPs recorded in the late 40s to the label we ran until about 1963. Then was taken over by Deutsche Grammophon. But the records, it's a boutique label. And from Middle Europe, it was founded by, I found some biographical details here, Westminster Records, and it's loading. And it says, by businessman James Grayson and the conductor Henry Swoboda. Now, Henry Swoboda is the conductor of this next recording. The thing is about Westminster Records, being a boutique label, they were sold especially they were geared towards the audiophile market in the very early days of audiophiles. And so they're exceptionally well recorded. And their secret, as they say it, was to have one microphone placed in front of the orchestra, just one mic, and not using multi-tracking, which they thought smeared the sound. And they used to produce these records with something like a 10-page booklet, which mostly described the recording technique. Now, unfortunately, the booklet was missing with the two records, the Westminster records that I picked up this week. So I don't have that information, but I would love to read it, and I'd like to source that because it would be interesting to read how they did this. Anyhow, these are quite early. They're mono recordings made on very heavy vinyl, and I think the one I'm going to play now is from 1949. Now, I'll have to do a little bit of repatching as I speak. So I've got unfortunately the sound card, and I need a separate laptop actually for this purpose. And one of the schools was going to throw out some laptops, and they promised me one. And and it came to the end of the day, and then they'd already given them away to somebody else. But never mind, I will find one. And I'm just sort of sorting out things on the screen here as I go. And sound card's plugged in. The SP10 is geared up and ready. I queued it up before. Now, what we're going to listen to is just a very short work, actually, just a short work of Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. This is one of Bach's sons, and one of, how many kids did Bach had? 21 kids. I think about half of them lived to adulthood, and a few of them became great composers. And probably the most famous of them all was Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach. Anyhow, on this Westminster record, we have the Henry Swoboda, Czech artist, conductor. He owned the label, or co-owned the label. And there's a huge amount of information on the back, but nothing about the recording process. I won't bore you with stuff about the works themselves, but there was just after the war, there was a bit of an interest in the non-mainstream composers, classical composers, and the authentic movement was starting to take off. This is certainly does not represent the authentic movement at all. It's very full-blooded romantic interpretation, which is what I love. And it's quite remarkable. We hear a Symphonia in C major by C.P. Bach. The work had only been discovered a short time before this recording was made, and particularly vital playing. It's with the Vienna Orchestra, and I think for contractual reasons they don't say exactly what orchestra, but I think it's probably the Vienna Phil or musicians from the Vienna Phil, and with Swoboda conducting. Enough preamble. I think we're almost ready to go, so we'll try this, and hopefully it will work. So we'll have a listen to just one movement from the Sinfonia, but it's wonderful music and very written at the same time as Mozart. C.P. E. Bach was more or less a contemporary of Mozart. He died a couple of years before Mozart, and was certainly admired by his contemporaries. Okay, so let's start and we'll have a listen. This is VK3SL testing on 160 metres, 2 metres, and also streaming on the Broadwave streaming service. Okay, I was getting a bit carried away with that, listening to the music of C.P. Bach. Now, that music is very much in the aesthetic of the Sturm und Drang. That's the reaction to the Enlightenment in the sort of pre-romantic music, I suppose, proto-romantic music. And Sturm und Drang, of course, means storm and drive. So we're sort of preempting the romantic movement with that music. So yes, Bach's son's at the helm, and you certainly hear that sort of raw energy, and particularly in the first movement, great drama. So, and I'm really impressed with that record. I think it's that label, the Westminster label, they're beautifully recorded. It may have sounded a little bit over-compressed on air, but in here it's a beautiful, clean sound. So I'm got to look out for more of them. There's not many of them reproduced on YouTube or anywhere else, so that's the type of LP that I've got my eyes open for. And I think that's recorded as early as 49, 50. It's quite early, that one. And they continued through to about 1963. And as I mentioned, they came with a booklet explaining the recording technique. I'm sure the audiophiles would have sat there salivating over every morsel of information. Anyhow, so there'll be more. In fact, there's another disc there of a of a Brahms or spurious Brahms piano trio, and which is never performed anymore. It's an early work of Brahms, and he actually destroyed all of his music. But his early music, and he was such a perfectionist, and all his drafts and anything that wasn't a final product was put into the stove. But this one's reputed to have been copied by somebody, and it sort of surfaced in the 1930s and then recorded. And it's quite an interesting. I had to listen to it briefly this afternoon, or bits of it, and I'll save that one up for another missions. But it's very early Brahms, or it's supposed to be. So another story there. But again, on another Westminster disc. And also found some Nancy Weir on Spotlights as well. So, some good material to draw from for these missions. Now, I'm going to have to disconnect that sound card and turn off the one thing on the computer and turn on another thing. And I think I'm almost ready to go with the next offering. Yes. Now, next thing is another point of interest for me has been the music of Rebecca Clark. Now, Rebecca Clark was a viola player and a composer, English viola player and composer in the early days of the 20th century. She lived until 93 and actually died in the early 70s, I think, in New York. But she had quite a distinguished career earlier on, and she wrote a lot of music in the up until the 1920s, quite a bit of music, mostly chamber music. But she won some very important international competitions, and I've been listening to a fair bit of her music, and I absolutely love it. It's in that sort of Frank Bridge, Vaughan Williams, Elgarian English tradition. But not sure if I can really put... No, I could put Frank Bridge and Vaughan Williams on the same page, but perhaps not Benjamin Britten. But yeah, anyhow, Rebecca Clark. So I thought I'd just sort of queue up a couple of her compositions to have a listen to, see what people think. Might sort of develop this story a bit more, because there's a lot of... I've noticed that there have been a lot of recent uploads and recent publications from her archive. So this is one called A Grotesque for Viola and Cello. So a work for viola and cello singularly, no other accompaniment instruments, and it's called a grotesque. Now, I don't know why it's called grotesque. It certainly doesn't sound grotesque, but it's beautifully composed, and music certainly worth being rediscovered. So let's have a listen to the music of Rebecca Clark. Now, for obvious reasons, she struggled terribly being a woman in Britain at that time as a composer. It would have been terribly difficult for her to gain notoriety, and it's sort of like a lot of these things. It's well downstream that they become discovered, but she's no exception to that. But yeah, see what you think. Grotesque for Viola and Cello by Rebecca Clark. I'm VK3SL testing. finished very abruptly. That was The Grotesque for Viola and Cello by Rebecca Clark. I've got another one of hers here. Another one's fairly short. It's a duo concertate for, what is it? Another chamber music piece. It's a Dumka duo concertate for, what instrumental? I think it's violin, cello, and with piano accompaniment, I think. Here we go. It's a violin, viola, and piano, actually. And so another work of Rebecca Clark's, another beautiful thing. And so we'll put this one on next, VK3SL. That was Rebecca Clark's duo concertante for viola and violin and piano. One of her chamber works which has recently been republished, and she only published a very small number of works in her lifetime, but we're seeing a bit of a resurgence of interest in Rebecca Clark in recent times, so it's nice to jump on board. And I love her music. I think it's amazing. I think it's really rich and in its harmonic language and its textual use, and it celebrates the wonderful lyrical qualities of the particular viola. A lot of her music is centered around the viola, and anyhow, it's nice to hear that. Now, that was a dumka. Now, dumka traditionally is a sort of an epic ballady, sort of ballad with a melancholy flavour to it, I suppose. And you see it a lot in Slavic music, but the dumka she used as a musical form with the themes in that duo concertante. So it was good to hear that. It's a recent discovery. It's nice to. This is one of the things that I've liked most about doing these doing these test transmissions, is it's got me listening to music, and it's got me finding new things and correlating and sort of actively listening, not just sort of letting hearing snippets, listening to whole works. So I've listened to both of those pieces quite a few times this last couple of weeks while on our travels, and a number of others as well, which I'll include. A lot of Vaughan Williams's music I've been listening to while travelling. It's great music to have in the car, and the family seem to be okay with it, and lovely expansive qualities which sort of work well when you're looking at the mountains or the Monero Plains. Anyhow, something very different now. This is, I don't know if I'm going to hold everyone's indulgence with this. It's quite short, but it's difficult. Another piece I've listened to is one I actually analysed at uni a long time ago. It's Penderecki's Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima. We had a bit of a Japanese theme at the start, and I'm sort of picking this up in a rather apocalyptic sort of way. But, the Threnody is a work Penderecki wrote in 1961. It's a modernistic work. It's aleatoric in construction, and it's challenging. It's challenging. It's intense. It doesn't deal with sort of traditional musical forms in any sense of the word. But what does it say here about it? Applies the sonoristic technique, which tends to focus on specific characteristics and qualities of timbre, texture, and articulation, dynamics, and motion. Yeah, well, it does. It sort of just is these thick, sinewy textures, but it's screaming. It's a screaming work. It's full of pain and anguish, and of course, the subject is one of the worst, most terrible events in humanity, really. So he commentates on this, and in a very direct way. So look, I figure that we've sort of listened to quite a few contemporary style electronic pieces earlier on when I did these missions, and this one here involves instrumentalists. It's a large string orchestra, and it's got some moments where the fail alarm will probably come on, because it's got some moments where the music almost disappears entirely but comes back. But it only goes for 8 minutes, so I ask for your indulgence. See what you think. See if you can put up with it. It might be a challenge, but I want to personally listen to a lot more contemporary music this year, and here and there I'll be throwing little snippets into these tests if people feel inclined to keep not tune out. Anyhow, after that, I've got something special. I've got an answer to our quiz. Oh, here's another clue, by the way. The quiz relates to something I played much earlier in the program. There we go. You heard that wonderful piano performance. Well, that actually relates to something I played earlier. So there we go. Maybe you can go back through the playlist and see if we can work it out. Anyhow, you'll hear the answer to that at the very end. There's one short piece after the Threnody, and then it'll tie it all together. So, okay, we're listening to Frederick Penderecki, isn't it? Or no, it's Christoph Penderecki, yes. He's still alive. He's in his late 80s or something. But Christoph Penderecki's Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima. And hold your horses, folks. It's quite a ride. VK3SL testing. Yeah, we heard the Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima by Krzysztof Penderecki. It's written in 1961 and written for 52 string instruments. And it's quite an interesting score and has some aleatoric elements in it. But there's a lot of information in the score, actually. Yeah, as well, about inflection and dynamics and articulation, so on. But yeah, it's certainly a revolutionary work and very powerful work, I think. Yeah, I listened to quite a bit to Penderecki's music, and also Schoenberg's, quite a bit of Schoenberg, and also Stockhausen. Some of Stockhausen's early music's really quite accessible, and even his later stuff, some of it's just absolutely bizarre. I listened to his Helicopter Quartet, which is an interesting work, where 4 members of a string quartet with a click track go up in helicopters, and they mix the sounds of the 4 helicopters with the sounds of their instruments, and then the people in the concert hall below are listening on loudspeakers while the choppers are flying above with the live performers and the choppers. And there's a version of it on YouTube. Just look up Stockhausen Helicopter Quartet. Maybe I'll play that one time. It's quite fun. But yeah, it is a very different take on music. I might lose my one listener. But yeah, I got to challenge myself. Otherwise, I just listen to the same styles all the time. I do love the post-romantic music, particularly, or romantic music, and of course the classical and Baroque. Very much, but I also feel a need to expand. So yeah, that's all a part of the big tapestry, I suppose. All right, that brings us to our last item on the program, and the performer here is the performer of the piano earlier on. Now, I won't say the name, but I think it'll be very evident. And I will post-announce this one, and I will have a listen on 2 meters shortly afterwards. So we'll finish off with a very special offering, a most beautiful, beautiful performance. I think this is amazing, but I'm sure you will as well. Quite different to what we've just heard. This is VK3SL, my first missions for 2019. And thank you if you've hung around for the long haul. We'll see how we go next week. VK3SL. Handballing it to someone special.
It's a song that was first sung in Ireland by men who had 3 sons. The eldest 2 have both been killed in the war, and now his 3rd son is leaving home. It's a song which will mean a great deal to anyone who has experienced the heartache of being parted from loved ones. It's the story of Danny Boy. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling from glen to glen and down the mountainside. The summer's gone and all the roses falling. It's you must go, and I must bide. But come ye back when summer's in the
Okay, we heard Judith Durham singing Danny Boy with an introduction. That was recorded in 1968. In fact, the same year as the piano recording we heard earlier. She played Nola earlier on, and with a bit of the Grieg Concerto. Judith Durham actually did her A-Mazé on the piano and played limited as a concert pianist. So, yes, an extraordinary background, amazing musician, a voice that mesmerises me, and I love her recordings of the Seekers as well as her solo recordings. If she could have been another Melba if she'd had the right sort of training, but probably best that she didn't do that because she had supreme success with what she chose to do. But her voice is one of the most natural voices I've ever heard, and Melba similarly has a very clear pitch centre to every note. There's an evenness to Judith Durham's voice which is just so extraordinary. All right, enough raving and ranting. I will switch off 2 metres in a moment and have a quick listen in case there's anybody there on Channel D. I'm presuming everything's going to work, and I might need to give me a moment to sort things. So VK3SL shortly standing by on 2 metres, on crossband 160 and 2 metres. Just hang in there.